Surprise, surprise, motherfuckers.
Dude, I'm so not used to doing like 2 shows in a row. Almost 3, actually. We went on Sunday. This will be 1 day 2. Yeah, freaking pretty much 3 shows in a row. I fucking hit the wrong intro. So, this is Keyboard Warriors, folks. It's not Case I Live. That was yesterday. Welcome to Keyboard Warriors Shorts, where we talk about literally one topic for about 20, a solid 20 for y'all, hitting on the biggest topic of the day. And of course, we can't not talk about Francis Ngannou going on the MMA Hour, man. I got to see the interview twice. I actually live tweeted it for Case I Precious because it was pretty big news. Ariel apparently was the only one that could get freaking Francis Ngannou, so had to do it. But you got to see it, right, as in parts as well. So here's the main points, right? So Ngannou goes on there, and of course Ariel has to build up his interview, so it takes forever to get to the juicy shit. But basically, some of the we get to the point where they talk about the money, right? Now Dana White had on Saturday in front of us, he had said that deal, would have made Francis, the deal that they offered Francis would have made him the highest paid heavyweight ever in the UFC. Paid more than Brock Lesnar, who's a guaranteed million pay-per-view buys. Guaranteed every time he fought. And so everyone's like, oh, I can't believe he didn't do that. And then, Dana said, oh, he's 300 pounds. He's not sure about his knee. He, what was the other shit? Basically insinuated that he might have been afraid of taking the John Jones fight, which I don't think any of us believe. Okay, some people believe it, obviously, because they went off on Twitter and shit. But then we get to what he asked for. That was extra, and this is where it gets juicy, because he goes, I want, I asked for healthcare, and I asked for sponsorship of my shorts, and they said no, and Ariel asked him to clarify. This is where he clarifies it. He goes, did you ask for that stuff for all the fighters? And he goes, yeah, and then he says, I knew I wasn't gonna get it, but I had to ask, and that's kind of where shit gets kind of disconnected a little bit between the stories, right? Because now we're not sure who to believe. So after watching the interview, what did you think of Francis's side here?
All right, man. First things fucking first. Let me get around to this thing that everybody keeps bringing up, saying that Dana is accusing Francis of saying he's afraid of John Jones. So what Dana said was Francis Ngannou rather wants easier fights for more money.
Yep.
And everybody is like, that's bullshit. That's ridiculous. He's saying he's afraid of John Jones. Well, think about it from this perspective, right? If he gets a Tyson Fury fight, fair play. That's not an easier fight. Sure. It's also not the same sport, motherfuckers. Let's live in a world where he don't get the Tyson Fury fight. Because let's face it, boys and girls, he ain't getting the Tyson Fury fight.
Nope.
He said he wants to fight Tyson Fury or Anthony Joshua. I want to fuck Beyonce and Rihanna. We'll see which one of those things happen first.
Yeah.
Promise you, he's not fighting either one of them. Anthony Joshua wouldn't bit more fucking box him than the man on the moon. He's got no reason to. Right. Tyson Fury has the biggest boxing match in heavyweight history on the horizon. He ain't canceling that to fucking box Francis Ngannou. Francis Ngannou's name's not big enough. So now that we're in the world where Francis is not going to get that big boxing match, what does he have now left, motherfuckers?
Yeah. Look.
Easier fights for what? More money. And do y'all think that fucking Bellator and the PFL is going to let him come in and change their health court system? Now, they might let him get other sponsors, which might lead to more money, but I thought that's not what this was about. So I just wanted to say that I don't think Dana's not fucking that stupid. I don't think anybody thinks that Francis is afraid.
Right.
But if he don't get the boxing match, he is indeed looking for easier fights for more money. Who the fuck is he going to fight in MMA if this Tyson Fury fight does not come to fruition? Ryan Bader? Fucking Czech Congo?
Bro. Ariel asked him that question. Go ahead.
Okay, so all that, whatever. So let's get to the point at hand.
Yeah.
He said the 2 big sticking points had nothing to do with money.
Right.
Although he did say that the money still wasn't exactly right, but that's neither here nor there. He said the 2 big sticking points were he wanted sponsors.
Yep.
Personal sponsors, and we'll get to that. And he wanted, and again, this is where it gets dicey. I hope somebody's watching or we can get a little explanation for me. What the fuck did he want? If you are a low-level fighter in the UFC and you compete in the UFC and you get your arm broke, does the UFC pay for your medical bill? I thought they did. And if they do, then what is he talking about? And again, that is a side question for my curiosity. The reality is, and even Francis said, we can even like sort of put all that what I don't understand to the side. Let's just talk about what I do understand. Motherfucker, you knew that wasn't going to happen. You said yourself, I knew this was not going to happen, but I still asked for it. Well, what the fuck are you, insane? I mean, what the fuck? I mean, I respect the idea of what he said he was doing.
Yeah.
It up for the little guy. But I almost, it just seems a little weird and fishy. And even, don't get me started on the fact that apparently he's his own manager.
Yeah.
Are we all on fucking crack? So he just decided to start negotiating all this on his own. And we're all just like, fuck yeah, Francis. Great idea.
Well,
that's a fucking horrible idea, man. You are a hell of a fighter. There is a reason fighters have managers. You guys are not, I mean, I think this might be primo example number one. I think this was a goddamn terrible move. I do not think he's going to get any of those big boxing matches. I think he's going to get stuck fighting in a fucking shitty second tier. You know, they're talking about bare knuckle boxing center. Are we all on fucking meth? Is anybody going to be excited or happy if Francis Ngannou does bare knuckle fucking boxing?
I mean,
what are we doing? What are we actually rooting for here? I mean, seriously.
Look, end of the day, not end of the day, because we kind of got to break down a little bit. But so let's start with what he asked for, right? He says it wasn't about the money. He says he wasn't really sure about how much other heavyweights make, but that he was getting paid quite a bit of money. He didn't really give an exact figure. Ariel tried to get him to say, around where, but whatever.
Well, one quick question, Eddie.
Yeah.
He said I had information that Brock got paid $8 million.
Yeah.
Is yours above or below that? I didn't understand Francis's reply. Did Francis say, okay, well, what the fuck? Does anybody in the comment section know whether he said above or below? I think he answered that question. I want to say he said above. And if that's the case, if he's making more than $8 million, again, you can go on with your fucking elaborations on what exactly he was looking for, but I don't know what the fuck we're doing anymore. Again, I don't,
I think you're right. I think you said above.
So I don't know, man. I just don't get it. If you're asking for shit you had no chance at getting, and then you're like, but I really wanted to stay with the UFC. Forgive me for not understanding what we're doing here. And then you decide to be your own manager. I don't know, man. Y'all make me understand it, man. Make me understand it.
Think of it this way. He's a kid from Cameroon. We went over the details yesterday or the day before, where it was a kid from Cameroon had to deal with all kinds of crazy shit that none of us have to deal with and shit. And so my thought on this is maybe he's serious when it's not about the money. Maybe he, but we've been talking for years about union, right? And what's the one thing we talk about unions? You got to get the top fighters to give a shit about the fighters on the bottom. None of them do. Then one claims, like Francis does, claims to be the one guy that does, and they go ahead and leave then. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a weird.
See,
like I get it. He said he knew he was going to get healthcare for the fighters. He knew he was going to get the sponsorships. All he said is, I had to ask. I think the entire negotiation comes down to a broken relationship. Now you talk about the manager real quick before we get to your point. The manager you had before, I don't know if you remember the controversy where they got after the fight or before on the way to a fight, the Gone fight, I think. He and his manager got a letter, like a legal letter from the UFC talking about they're in trouble for some shit. And then the manager started getting like racist fucking texts and shit that apparently he's still getting. So that right there tells you the what do you call it? The relationship between manager and promotion is pretty fucked already, right? So bringing that guy into this negotiation was a non-starter, right? So there's that. But yeah, dude, like there's a lot to unpack on this, and I feel like it's gonna take it's gonna take a lot more context for us to understand what the fuck happened.
I will say Ariel Helwani did play it pretty well.
Sure.
Because he did point out the fact that Kamaru Usman and Francis are very well acquainted.
Yeah.
And Kamaru Usman's manager is Ali Abdul, whatever the fuck.
Abdelaziz.
And he and Dana are thick, like, motherfucker. He basically told you that you already know what fucking time it is. You know that Kamaru Usman, like, basically, I think it's even like on record that Ali had said, like, yo, Francis, come fuck with me. I'll get this deal done.
He
Like,
did.
I know these people properly. You see what's going with Kamaru. Like, bro, I got 137 fighters on. Like, whatever you're looking for, you got a lot better of a chance. And Francis said, nah, I'll do this on my own. So again, I'm just not, look, man, here's the thing, right? If it's really on some, I want to make a statement and stand my ground. I do respect that.
Yeah.
But if it's you alone, like, it's hard to describe. It's like you walking out on the field to die, knowing we ain't got no shot at winning. Now, do I think you're a tough soldier and you're a courageous man? Yeah. Do I think you're also a fucking idiot that should have stayed back with us? Yeah. Like, if I'm Francis's manager, I'm like, listen, homeboy, I dig what you're saying, but we ain't about to sacrifice ourselves on the altar and ain't nobody coming with us. Like, what is the point in making this stand if you know it's not going to get done? Nobody's going to care. And you the only one that's going to suffer for it. I mean, I guess you're going to be able to go out and get the bag, but what was this all for? What's the point? They ain't about to change their rule. Send a message to who?
To the UFC, to send a message. Look, if you don't care about
reverse. I think the UFC sent a message. No, I'm saying that.
Oh, they did too. They did too.
They're not going to change this rule. Conor will fight again, and he won't have a sponsor unless it's a monster, or they're not going to bend that rule for Conor. So
no,
I don't. Who? Okay, go ahead. Go ahead. I'm shot out of a cannon. Go ahead.
No, you're good. No, here's the thing. Again, I'm working with the idea that he cares about more than just money and more than about himself, and he's actually giving shits about the other fighters, right? And so he tried to get the healthcare, he tried to get the sponsorship thing. He knew that was going to happen, but he needed to say that. The first thing I thought, literally, as I'm watching the interview, listening to it and taking down notes, I thought, man, he's like the Joker in the Batman movie, like the more recent one, where you know, he goes and like takes all those bad guys like fucking money, puts it in the warehouse, and they light it on fire. Like, it's not about the money, right? I think he's just a principled individual, knowing that the UFC was going to have to. He's trying to make the UFC blink, I think, and apparently at the end of the day, nobody blinked. I think you're right. The UFC sent a message: we're not going to change for nobody. Nobody's bigger than the sport, right? That's kind of what they're saying.
No one guy. That's the problem with this. If Francis had Volkanovski and goddamn it Islam and goddamn it Conor and Adesanya, if he had all their stars and was like, yo, we'll all walk. I don't think you see this. Maybe you see the UFC bend, but yeah, the UFC is letting you know, bro, no one guy. If John Jones would have asked for this, they probably would have told John Jones to take a fucking walk.
100%. And you know, it's fuck. I just completely forgot the point I was gonna make on that shit. Damn it. I think you're right, dude. I think here's the thing. That's the thing we've been talking about unions for a long time. Is if you don't get those top guys to give a shit about the union, it ain't gonna work. And that's why it's never gonna work, right? Now, the UFC, here we go. The UFC is not used to somebody getting money thrown at them and they'd be like, well, I want this and this. Oh, how about that? We'll just give you more money. They're not used to that shit not working. Like, they're very clearly not used to that shit not working. How many fights? Sean Strickland got the bag for fucking fighting on a week's notice against Imavov, and you know, frankly, credit to him for winning the fight. But you know, he wasn't training, he wasn't ready, he hadn't done shit in like weeks. And then he said, "Look, man, I'm a highly paid prostitute. I'll take that." That's what they're used to. They're used to people going like, "Oh, you give me more money? All right, cool." Now they're dealing with someone that don't give a shit about the money and is a heavyweight champion. You know, say what you want about all the other champions and shit. The heavyweight championship is the most, I would say, coveted or most, you know, and I'm not saying like right now, like, oh, we could discuss the heavyweight division's fucking status all we want to, okay? But overall, like the baddest man on the planet has always been known as a heavyweight champion.
You know what though? I just thought about something, man,
Yeah.
and you know what? I don't know. We're gonna have to go a little longer because this is just.
It's all right.
So again, if the two main sticking points that did not get this deal done were the health care for the fighters and him having personal sponsorship.
But there's more. Sorry, there's more to that. You want to add it now?
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. There's also now, and we've always known about these clauses the UFC puts in there, right? And I've explained the way I explained it before was like in the NBA, restricted free agents. Okay. A restricted free agent in the NBA is after his rookie deal's up, he can go out and find other deals from other teams. But the NBA teams, the original team has his first right of refusal or you know, matching rates. So it's shit like that keeps you from as Ngannou put it, keeps him from being free. He didn't want those clauses. And I'll give you this. The UFC wanted to put him to like you know, we just saw John Jones get an 8-fight deal. They want to do something like that with Francis. And Francis goes, I'd rather do 3. So they're like, all right, fine, we'll do 3. Right now, he asked for a lot of shit. He wanted a 3-fight deal. He wanted healthcare. He wanted sponsorships, and all that shit. But what he really wanted, what it seems like he wanted, was a sticking point for him, is that he wanted control of his own career. And the UFC, as we all know, does not allow that. Okay, they just don't. Like even Conor had to get the okay to go fight boxing, right? Conor had to get the okay from Dana, and Dana had to make sure he was all over the place, screaming the Conor McGregor. And
hold
shit
on,
like
wait, slow down. What do you mean by control of your own career?
Being able to do,
of course, Conor had to get. Are you implying that we think it should be okay for Francis to take whatever fight he wants, wherever the fuck he wants to take it at? Like we can't do that.
Right. But again, like he's betting on himself, right? Like at that point, it's him not liking the clauses, this and that, and being able to extend your contract without your permission, shit like that, all that, and other jobs and regular people, like regular jobs is not gonna fly with most people. You know what I mean? Like, so what he wanted, what he didn't like was the fact that he keeps talking about I'm free. I wanted to be free. I wanted control and all sort of stuff. And I get what he's saying. And if that's what you hold dear, that's what you hold value. I understand his move. Now, again, like you said, it's a gamble. It's a massive gamble. It might not work out.
Well, okay, a couple things here. Just to fucking keep it a bean.
Yeah.
He's making it very evident that it's not about the money.
Right.
But one of the major sticking points, what do sponsorships get you?
Money. But it was about the other fighters too. That's what it was.
Well, okay.
Okay.
So that counted for the sponsorships too?
He wanted sponsorship and healthcare for other fighters. He specifically used the example, the 10 and 10 guys specifically.
Well, no, I know that, but I thought that was just for healthcare.
No, it was everything. It's both.
He thought that the 10 and 10 guys were going to get sponsors again too. Oh, good Lord Almighty. I thought he just meant they were going to give him a sponsor, which he was high for that one. If he thought they was going to let Tom, Dick, and Harry, the Piggly Wiggly down in Idaho, bro, come on. Come on, man. That ship sailed, and it is never like, bro.
Oh, never.
You might as well have asked for a piece of the fucking moon, Francis. I'm sorry, but for me, if I'm a businessman trying to get a deal done, and you come in wanting shit like that, sure, I'm gonna assume you don't want to do the deal. I'm gonna assume that because come on, baby girl,
that's what it seems
that
like.
Ain't you asking for two things that you know ain't gonna happen. So what are we even doing here? I mean, I guess are we shooting for the moon so we hope we catch a star or some bullshit like that? Because come on, baby, like we ain't there's no shot at that. I ain't even understand that right. I thought he meant healthcare for everybody. I didn't think he meant everybody was going to be able to get their own personal sponsors again. Come on, man. That's definitely like, come on, man.
Yeah.
And all the other shit, like, I don't know. Oh, see, did he say that they would not do the 3-fight deal?
No, he said they from what I understood, that they would. But let me see if I can pull up the.
Yeah, and then what was the fucking problem with that? Goddamn, he didn't want to do an 8-fight deal. He wanted a 3-fight deal. They say, yeah.
So here it is. This is from another article. He says he wanted a contract that couldn't be extended beyond the 3 fights he had agreed to, so he could fulfill his desire to box, which a promotion I know interest in. So he basically wanted to do his 3 fights and then go box. And by the way, the 3 fights that he wanted to do, John Jones, Stipe, John Jones. That's what he wanted, right? And then go off and box. And maybe even come back.
Well, that maybe even come back is super important. Again, man, we got to look at this from both angles. Like I'm not, motherfuckers must understand, man. The UFC's been burned a couple times. They let GSP do that shit. He came back and won the belt and fucked off and illegitimized their middleweight belt for a while. If Francis is saying, check this out, I'll come back for 3 fights, but I'm telling y'all right now, win, lose, or draw, I'm gone. Well, if you win those 3 fights and then you bounce on us, you leave us holding shit. How about you just bounce on us now?
Yeah.
I can at least see a world in which the UFC is like, we don't love that. And look, at the end of the day, if Francis said, fuck it, listen, I'll ask you this point blank. Do you think this was a good or bad move for Francis Ngannou's career? Like,
you're asking me a little question because you asked me that shit. My first thought is I was like, I'm never gonna say someone's wrong for betting on themselves. But if we're looking at it in terms of the fight game itself, right? Francis Ngannou in the UFC, was it a bad move? Ooh, it's really hard for me to say
for
that
his career.
Think about his career.
What? Okay, let's do this. We got a little time. Fuck it. We should have wrapped up about 6 minutes ago. Let's go a little longer. Fuck it.
Okay.
Fuck it. It's still gonna be a short. We're not going to. Let's do this then.
Yeah.
Who does Francis Ngannou fight next? Who do you think he fights? Do you think it's boxing? And if so, who? Or do you think he gets stuck with an MMA fight? And if so, who?
I mean, shit. Tyson Fury is the one that called him into the ring, right?
But come on now, Eddie.
He called him into the ring, and Ngannou wasn't like, "Hey,
if
bro,
he was betting your firstborn child, do you think Francis Ngannou fights Tyson Fury in a boxing match?
Oh my god!
Stop it!
No. If I had to say it'd be some lower level boxer that's not Tyson Fury or Deontay Wilder or Anthony Joshua.
So okay, listen. Feet to the fire. Who does Francis Ngannou fight?
Somebody like Dylan White or that Hector Ortiz guy, some shit like that.
Okay, all right.
I wouldn't be surprised. Who's the guy that says, "Let's go, champ"? Let's go, that motherfucker. I wouldn't be surprised if I wouldn't be surprised if he stepped up like, "Fuck it, I'll fight him. I'll get murdered. He'll die, but
he better not.
Yeah.
I tell you what, man.
But it won't be a Tyson Fury, I don't think.
I think Tyson Fury's out because I think they're going to do the Usyk fight, man. That's the fight that everybody wants to see. Again, man, Francis isn't Conor. And quite frankly, Tyson's not exactly Floyd, man. That was a enigma. That was a one in a lifetime, man. This ain't quite that. And I think people like Eddie Hearn and the smart old heads in boxing know what's going to sell. And I think they know right now. Listen, here's the reality, man. Francis Ngannou's only value in a Tyson Fury boxing match comes from what he can do in the UFC.
Right.
Now that he's no longer there, I think they're going to be like, hey, say, Jack, we'll give you a fucking $3 million and let you box Dilly in here. You ain't, come on, man. I mean, Anthony Joshua gets like 30 million a fight and fights in front of like 1 million people or some bullshit like that. Right. He's like, good Lord. I don't see him taking the fight. Makes zero sense. Tyson has the biggest fight in boxing heavyweight history. I just do not think that they cancel that for him.
Nope.
Him and Deontay would be fun, but I don't think that sells nowhere near what he thinks it's going to. Listen, I'll tell you what I think happens. I don't think the boxing match gets done. Really? I don't think Francis is. I think Francis is really overvaluing himself in the boxing world. In the legit boxing world against real boxing heavyweights, I don't think they think, again, he's not Conor McGregor, man. Y'all, motherfuckers forget what Conor was. He had just beat Eddie. He was the 2-division champ at the same time. The first person to ever do it. He finished him, and he had that fucking yap going the whole fucking time. For 3, I mean, that was it. This ain't that. I think they're going to let him know that, like, yeah, bro, we're, maybe if Usyk gets hurt or some shit, they pull some sneaky shit off. But as it looks right now, I don't think it happens. And that leaves us with MMA, in which case, I don't know what happens, but I think Francis fucked up bad. If he signs with Bellator, if he does anything in the MMA cage, this was a horrible decision for his career. I don't see how you spin it any otherwise.
Here's what I think is going to happen. Okay, here's what I think is going to happen. Oh, we got fucking comments, my bad. Give me a second here, guys, real quick, because I have an idea what I think is going to happen. Oh, Jesus. Tank goes, fire Dana. Kirby's a company man. UFC stinks.
Yeah, I'll be a company man, goddammit. I already know.
Give him a paycheck, shit. Francis seems stoked to get a free UFC shirt. UFC dropped the ball. Fang, oh, what's up, Fangs? He goes, but he's afraid to fight. Still can't believe people think this is absolute unit is afraid to fight. He's not afraid to fight. So is Kirby gonna fight him next? If you pay him enough.
Did y'all miss the first part of the goddamn podcast? I don't really think he's saying he's afraid to fight.
Right,
I think what he's saying is he wants to fight lesser competition for more money. And I think what that means is he thinks he's gonna go get this Tyson Fury fight. I think what Dana's saying is, homeboy, you ain't gonna get that. You're going to get stuck with MMA. If Francis Ngannou takes a mixed martial arts fight outside of the UFC, what are we left with? Quite frankly, I don't think it's going to be for more money. He's just going to be fighting lesser competition for less money.
For less money.
Paint me a picture in which that's not the reality.
That's the reality. That's what it is. No one else can offer more than likely outside of Risen going insane or one championship pulling money out of wherever. That's not going to happen. I don't even think they have real heavyweight divisions in those two. I don't remember. Francis, I think it was good. He's betting on himself. Yes, the UFC is the big dog, but there are other dogs who are willing to bet the farm on Francis. Right, but where are they going to get that farm from? He's fighting Jake Paul. Left man asked him. Oh, Jake Paul offered him a 2-fight deal. 1 boxing match, 1 MMA fight. But I don't think it's to fight Jake Paul, though. I think Jake's not stupid. Dude, yeah. Jake's solid 6'1"? Maybe 6'2". Francis, 6'4" and giant? Yeah, that's not going to happen. Anyway. Here's what I think is going to happen. I think Francis will get a boxing match sooner than later. He might even get 2. But I don't think he goes. Well, excuse me. I don't think he goes MMA wise. He ain't going to be anywhere else but the UFC. He's getting to go back to the UFC. He will be back in the UFC. I'm calling it right now. Like, to me, the thing that stuck from the very beginning to his negotiations. The freedom thing. To be able to control his own, his self thing. That I'm not even fully convinced that the sponsorship for other fighters and healthcare for other fighters was a real sticking point. I think this all comes down to the boxing. I think he wanted to box, so now he's a free agent. I don't think he's going to sign to fight MMA for anybody. I think he boxes once, maybe wins, boxes again, and then he calls Uncle Dana and Hunter Campbell, like, okay, I scratched my itch. What y'all want to do? And he ends up back with the UFC. I don't think there's in any world, just like you were saying, I don't think there's a world where Francis Ngannou fights for anybody MMA wise for anybody but the UFC. I don't see it happening. So I think he boxes, win or lose, goes back to the UFC.
Well, I tell you what, I essentially agree. I think he has to box.
He has to box.
As an MMA thing, that's going to be fucked.
Yeah.
But Dana and them have accused Francis of having a big ego. People like Ariel Helwani and most of the MMA community seem to think that's bullshit because of Francis's demeanor and everything. Sure. He seems to suggest that he's not really like that. I think we gonna find out because on the MMA Hour, he mentioned 2 names he wanted to box, and he was very clear that he was not gonna box lower level guys. So we're gonna find out if the top names in boxing are off the list, the Tyson Furies, the Usyks, the Anthony Joshuas, the 2 names he mentioned, if those are off the list, will he be willing to box a Dillian White? Will he be willing to box who's the fucking dude that Tyson Fury just beat? I don't even follow boxing that much. The black British dude that he just beat, a friend of his. It was like his 3rd time fighting. Will he be willing to fight that guy to try and earn one of those matches? We will find out whether his ego gets in the way then or not.
Yeah. I would bet he would be open to it, but you're right. I mean, we'll find out for sure, right? Yeah. There's something like again, I was sitting in front of Dana while he's saying all this shit, and I couldn't believe how stuff he said. Like, and he's saying that, Francis is like 300 pounds, and I'm like, bro, I've seen video of him rolling with Chris Curtis, who's a fucking middleweight. I think middleweight. Like, he's like on Curtis's back, right? They're practicing. I'm like, that man's not 300 pounds. He's big as shit. He's like 270 for sure, but 275 maybe. He ain't no 300 pounds, dog. Come on now. Now, as far as the knee goes, according to Francis, like he would have been available for March 4th. Like he said that. Like he said he'd be available. But he goes, I fought with it injured. Why wouldn't I fight with it on March 4th? You know what I'm saying? Basically is what he said. That's not a direct quote, by the way. He don't talk like that. But
right.
You know, this whole he's afraid of John Jones. Get over that. It's not that. Like the UFC has to make sure. Look, this is the example that I use, and it's somewhat loose. Okay, so bear with me, and because we got to go here in about a minute. But Nate Diaz, they wanted him to fight Hamza. They are, he asked for Dustin Poirier. They said no. He asked for the Conor trilogy. They said no. He asked for a bunch of dudes. They said no. He asked for Tony Ferguson. They said no. And so he goes, fine, give me whoever. Oh, here's Hamza. The entire MMA world was like, Nate's about to get thunderstruck, just done, right? Instead, Hamza misses weight, and Nate goes, all right, bitch, well, now the ball's in my court. I have leverage now. You need a main event, don't you? Cool. And he leveraged a fight against Tony Ferguson. And then Nate leaves the UFC on a win with plenty of options and not looking bad at all, right? Overall. Right. Now, Dana White afterwards had to say stuff like, oh, it's your house. Oh, you can always come back whenever. Oh, we appreciate everything Nate's done. When's the last time you heard Dana say that about a fighter that can still fight? Fucking never. Most of the time, Shogun's about to fight in the prelims, bro. He's about to fight in the prelims on Saturday. When you and I came out watching MMA, when the fuck did we ever believe Shogun would ever fight in the prelims? Fucking never. Okay. Like
90 years old now, but
yeah. Right, but still, like that's the point. That's my point being, the UFC does not want to let guys or girls leave the UFC with any kind of like ability to go on and fight with somebody else with any kind of like a pop like Nate just had, right? Nate went out on top. Nate could fight Jake Paul. Nate could fight shit. There's talks about him going to Risen to box Manny Pacquiao, which would be a huge fight just overall, just off names, right? End of the day, this happens with Ngannou, and of course Dana's going to come out and say, oh, he's 300 pounds, his knee's not okay, he wants to fight lesser talent for more money, he's not really sure, he's not confident, his body's older. Like, he's literally trashing the man on a lot of shit that I believe most people in the media room that night on Saturday in Vegas, most people were sitting there going like, what's he talking about? Now, of course, we're not going to go and ask him that shit, but, it was like, well, what's he talking about right now? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like I sat there, at least I did. I sat in the back going like, bro, that's Francis Ngannou. He had surgery. He's doing well. There's videos of him wrestling. You're not wrestling on a blown knee. You're not wrestling when you're not sure about your knee. Throwing kicks and shit, bro. Like all that. This to me is just theater to make to ensure that Francis doesn't get a Tyson Fury fight and he comes back. To ensure he doesn't get a Joshua fight, which by the way, even if he was 100% healthy, he's not getting those fights. I don't think. But that's the whole thing, right? So, end of the day, it's just a very public negotiation that Francis Ngannou said, you know what, fuck it, I had enough. Like, I ain't signing none of your deals. You can send me all the money in the world, I ain't signing your deal. I'm going to bet on myself. And again, what I think is going to happen, he's going to go box, he's going to come back and fight John Jones.
Listen, I ain't never said that Dana ain't petty. I ain't never said he ain't petty, son. I'm sure he listen. If you decide to walk out the door, he gonna give you a couple stiff jabs.
Yeah.
But listen, I think you bring up a good point though, man. At the end of the day, all this being said, a lot of people like to trash Dana and shit. And I get it. Like you can think what you want, but like, one thing you can't deny is the dude do business.
100%.
If Francis does come back to the UFC, it'll be because Dana's like, all right, let's see what he's talking about. I don't think Dana takes shit like he's petty, but I don't think he takes shit as personally as people think he do.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Right now, if the right situation presented itself, Francis Ngannou will be fighting John Jones in March. I think Dana's one of those guys. I think if Francis had a change of heart and thought, you know what, fuck it, $9 million, I'll take that shit. Sign it. Fuck Cyril. Put him on ice. I'll do it. I think Dana'd be like, cool. All right, fuck it. 3 fights, $8 million. He's in. Let's do it. Like, I don't think he actually takes shit. It is all about business for dude for better or for worse, petty or not, like if they were going to get the deal done, if Francis wanted to do the deal, I think it'd get done. Again, if he's asking for shit that's literally impossible, then I don't know where we're at with that. So it again, to me personally, him bringing shit to the table, which he knew was definitely for sure never ever going to happen, makes it seem like he just really didn't want the deal. I'm sorry, but I just can't really look at it any other way. Like he says he really wanted to do it, but then he's bringing negotiations that he himself says, I know they ain't going to do this. Well, then come on, man. Clearly, you didn't want to do it that bad if he was bringing shit to the table that you knew they were going to say no to for 100% sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think at the end of the day, Francis really valued his options, just having options that much. So we'll never get the full story on this dude, because to get the full story, you'd have to get Dana White to sit down, you had to get Hunter Campbell to sit down, you had to get Mick Maynard to sit down.
Yeah.
In fact, the one guy that Francis gave credit to is Mick Maynard. He goes, "That's a real guy," because immediately after everything was over, Mick Maynard's the only one that texted Francis like, "Hey man, best of luck."
Hey, listen, man, there's got to be a good cop and a bad
Always.
cop. That's how these business motherfuckers. If you think that all them cocksuckers ain't drinking whiskey together, you're a fool. Like Mick Maynard may be the good cop, but make no mistake about it, he's still
a cop.
Bad cop.
He's still a
cop. You goddamn right. And listen, you're right. We'll never know exactly what happened with that, but you know what we will know? Francis's future. We will see what happens with this. We will find out whether this was a good or bad decision in the long run. We will see whether it caused any sort of real change in the UFC. We will see if he flourishes without the UFC, outside of the UFC. We're going to find it all out. It's going to be a hell of a year, baby. This wasn't that short, but goddamn it, this was a lot to unpack.
Yeah. All right, 22-3 kicked off with some crazy shit, folks. All right, that's going to do it for us tonight. I appreciate y'all. Again, this is KW Short, Keyboard Warrior Shorts, where we only talk about one topic. Sometimes it goes long as fuck, like tonight. What are you going to do? But we're going to try and keep these to like 20-some-odd minutes so y'all can get in and out just like we want to, all right? Shout out to everyone that tuned in. Shout out to everyone that hangs out with us. Let me get the fucking, here we go. KSFPress.com for all your MMA news. Keyboard MMA for the show. At Jesus for Fred. I'm at Elo32. Shout out to everyone who tuned in. Fangs was here. Tank. Anyone that tuned in. There's other people watching, but they didn't say shit. So I appreciate y'all anyway. But next time, leave a comment so we can talk some shit. Catch you guys on the next one. Good night. And good night, Wilshire.